What's up, guys? So I know that I've talked a little bit about how the TV film music licensing business can actually open doors for you to actually get your records out there as an artist sold to the public. And by the way, I'm looking, I have something weird going on with my left eye. I woke up this morning and like there's an allergic reaction or something, so it's all puffed up. I look like the Elephant Man right now, so I apologize for that. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it goes away, in 24 hours, or else I got to go to a clinic or something. So I don't know what's happening there. I don't have any allergies. But anyways, I've talked a little bit about this in previous videos that, one of the sort of added benefits to getting involved in the TV film licensing business is that you can sort of get yourself in an exposure position so that if you get, let's say, a theme song or a really prominent placement on a really popular TV show or a movie, you can sort of slingshot yourself as an artist onto that placement and then put yourself out for the world to consume you, right? So you can use that notoriety and that sort of newfound fame of people looking up like, who wrote that awesome theme song or that one placement or whatever. If it's a really prominent thing, it can absolutely jumpstart your sort of original artist career to then go tour, sell your own records, do your own merch, all that kind of stuff. Now, personally, that hasn't happened for me because most of the placements that I get, to be honest with you, are not in the foreground. I don't get a lot of the fanfare. You don't see my name in a lot of the credits or pretty much any of the credits. I think I've only had a couple of them that I've had my name even show up in credits. So most of the stuff that I do, I'm the sort of unsung hero in the background. I get paid for it, which cha-ching, I'm happy with that, but I don't get a lot of the sort of upfront, publicity for it. So for myself, it hasn't really been something that has happened for me, and I also haven't really been producing a lot of original content outside of the TV film world that I'm ready to release to the public. Maybe one day I will do that, and then maybe I'll push a little bit more for that direction. But if you do want to do that, it's absolutely possible. Case in point, even though personally I'm not trying to put myself out there as an artist, I've already done a couple of projects actually with fairly established artists in terms of the people that I've learned to do well and create relationships with in the licensing business. Actually had relationships with major labels, with bands that are putting together albums. And because I'm a reliable player in this business, they sort of transitioned me into working with them on other projects. And I haven't actually ever talked about this in anything that I've done before. But I've actually worked on an album last year for a relatively new band called Prevail. You may or may not have heard of them. They actually got really popular because they did a cover version of a Taylor Swift song, I think in 2015. And it went mega viral. And I think they got, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of hits on it. So it totally blew up. And because of that cover version of a Taylor Swift song, they ended up getting a record deal, and now they're touring and they're doing really great. So their first album, they had already had that completed, but by the time the second album came around, one of my business contacts actually works with them, is connected with them, and he brought me on board to be sort of a synth consultant on their album. So I'll actually link to the album below and to their original viral video so you can kind of see who they are. They're not a household name, so if you haven't heard of them, I wouldn't be surprised. But they're sort of an up-and-coming rock band, metal band right now. And basically what I was pulled on to do is to actually add synthesizer elements to, I think we did like 5 or 6 of their tracks on the album. So I'll try to put a list as well below of the ones that I actually contributed to, so you can kind of listen to them. And any of the synth work that you hear, that's my synth work that's actually on that album. So that was pretty awesome that I got to actually get pulled on to, sort of into the artist world of things, and kind of have a little bit of a say in that sort of a world. And actually just last week, I was contracted by the same contact that I have in the business for another album. Now, I'm not going to share any details. This band is probably a little bigger, actually, than Prevail in terms of household recognition. If you're a rock fan, like modern rock from the 2000s and onward, you know the band that this person, I'll tell you this person came from a more popular band and they're doing sort of a solo gig right now. So you probably have heard of the actual big band, and I will release that as soon as I can, but right under, now I'm on sort of a NDA disclosures and I'm not supposed to be talking about it. So I can't share anything really with that, but it basically will be the same kind of deal where they're going to send me a session, the stems of a major label artist, and basically with my production skills that I've been honing and crafting and perfecting from the TV film world, I'm going to be basically putting those exact same skills into the artist world. So, I don't know if this is going to be something that I kind of start doing a little more regularly. It's just been a very part-time thing that I've done just only in the last couple of years. But, my contacts, at least I should say he has a lot of great contacts in this world, in this sort of getting pulled on board to be a producer for these pretty popular artists. So it looks like something he's going to be doing a lot more of, and I know that's really one of his goals. He really wants to go there. So I'm so stoked for him, and it's great. And I'm always just so humbled and just honored that he wants to pull me on for even just a small part of it. Which I am. I'm a very, very small part of this project. He's really doing most of the production and all that good stuff, and I'm just kind of being brought on as a sort of small consultant to do my sort of synth work with the album. So, but it's a lot of fun, and it completely takes your head out of the game. But I just want to let you know about that. This can be the TV film world with the context that you meet here. It's not completely isolated to the licensing business. Okay, so there are connections that you can make in this industry to the record label industry, to publishing, to other sorts of endeavors that can actually open up other sources of income and opportunities for exposure for yourself, okay? And that means that, yes, you can also get paid up front for these kind of gigs. You can earn back-end shares if you get some of the writer's credit for contributing to these kind of projects. So if you can prove yourself in the long run, right? Always be reliable, always show up, always do those kind of cool things. You never know what kind of opportunities are going to pop up your way. I've been surprised pretty much on every single year. There's some new gig that comes across my email inbox or my phone, somebody texting me something, and I'm like, wow, I never thought I'd ever do that being associated with the licensing business. But word gets around. So if you have the talent, you have the hustle, you have the consistency, and you show up all the time, this industry can really open up new doors that you probably never knew existed. So anyways, just want to share that with you guys. We're gonna we're gonna see how much this actually takes away from my current schedule. I'm sort of gonna do it one track at a time. Obviously, for myself personally, I always keep TV film top priority. Like, that's really where my bread and butter is. That's really where the main source of my income is. So I want to make sure that is what I always devote my attention to. And this person, obviously, I work with him primarily on TV film projects, but this is one where we're going to do something else. So we're going to see, how it works. I'm going to try to pace myself and not get, too ahead of myself and put too much on my plate. And something you need to consider as well, that in the long run, you will, if you're good, right, and you have a lot of, you really deliver for people when they ask you to, it's very possible you're going to be getting thrown all kinds of work from many different sources, and you got to know what to say no to, what to say yes to. Maybe you can say yes to everything, but you really need to set everybody's expectations to say, hey man, I have this going on and that, so can we sort of, are you a little more flexible on the deadlines? Can we kind of work with that a little bit? You've got to be very clear and communicate effectively with all of your contacts so that you're not saying no when you don't have to, and you're not definitely saying yes to everybody when you can't complete all projects, or at least maybe you can complete them, but you're not going to do your best because you're just kind of rushing through all of them. It's a recipe for disaster. So being, a little bit discerning about which tracks or which projects you want to work on, depending on what your goals on. You might be wondering, like, well, how do you know which ones to say yes to? Is it always just about the upfront money? Not necessarily, because if you have two gigs in front of you, one of them's paying a decent upfront sync fee, the other one pays no sync fee, but there's potential for back-end royalties to last years and years and years. What do you want right now? You want a nice big check? There's a pro to that. You get the money now. Are you cool with waiting for a little while? Maybe you'll make more than that upfront sync fee, but it'll be played out over the course of many quarters in 2 or 3 years. So again, there's always a pro and con of that kind of thing. So you have to always weigh. And of course, there's no guarantees. There's no guarantee probably that you are always going to get those royalties no matter what. It's possible that air or program or commercial could get canceled, or it just goes off the air after a quarter. Maybe the royalties aren't as big as you think they're going to be. So sometimes just taking that upfront money when it's offered is like, hey, at least I got something. And this is sort of an unsure thing. So again, there's a lot of factors that you should be considering when you decide which gigs you should be taking and what you should not. But again, what I always use as my guiding light is like, number one typically is what's good for me in the long run. That's normally where I go. So if something's going to be a project that can earn me long-term passive income royalties for years and years, that's typically where I'm going to go to. I don't mind upfront fees. They're great. But if they cut off the back end, because that's just how the deal is structured, that does give me pause. I do think about, like, well, if I take this, am I losing out on any other projects that I could be making back-end money on? And if the answer is yes, I normally say no. I normally say I want to do something that's just going to give me the long run. And number two, this might be something that you can't do necessarily in the beginning of your career because there is a sense of you got to pay your dues and you got to basically just work on anything you can get your hands on. But at this point in my career, I normally think, is this going to be fun? Is it going to be enjoyable? Do I get along with the person offering me the job? Do they seem like an enjoyable person to work with? Is the work itself, the music that I'm going to be doing, going to be enjoyable? If it just sounds like it's going to be, pulling teeth and a constant revision, getting lost in revision hell where the client's just like, no, try this, try that. And I just know that it's going to be a headache moving forward, even if it's a huge payout or something like that. I don't know, maybe it's just getting older, but you start to kind of like push back against some of those things. Like I always think of it as like a headache tax. I am trying to pay as little headache tax as possible in my life. So I am more likely to pay money to get rid of headaches at this point in my life. So I'm much more of, if it doesn't seem fun and it's going to really take away from my enjoyment producing music and doing what I love, I'm not going to do it, because life is short. And if I don't really need the gig because I got other things I can be doing, I'm not going to do it, all right? That might sound crazy to you right now because you're like, Jesse, I'll take anything. Throw it my way. I know, I totally understand that. When you get to where I am, you'll probably see what I'm talking about. But yes, in the beginning, if you're just getting started, don't take that advice, okay? Don't do what I do and be a little bit more, take everything you can get. I'll be honest with you. I took everything I could possibly get when I first got started, and that's the only way that I got the reputation that I did, which was that they saw me as a hustler. They saw me as a consistent person that always showed up and did the work. So even though at this point I have a little bit more of a luxury in that I can say no more often, I'm still very hungry though. I still consider all offers. I'm always, my philosophy is that like, hey, if it's mutually beneficial, I'm interested. Let's talk. I'm open to all business endeavors, all licensing opportunities. As long as it's mutually beneficial, there's no licensing fee too small. There's no opportunity too small, as long as it's mutually beneficial and it works for both of us. So I'm always open. I'm never just completely like, I'm above that, I'm not going to do that. No, I will consider every offer, every gig. It's just that as you get a little bit further established, you can raise your standards just a little bit more. And it is important that eventually you do raise your standards, okay? You don't want to always be the guy going, no problem, I'll do all the free work, I'll do this, I'll do that, like all, and taking basically the sort of brunt end of most of the deals that you're doing. Because after a while, people people you work with will expect like, just give it to him, he doesn't care, he just takes whatever crappy deal we give him. That's not who you want to be. You want to be the person that they know, if we're going to hand a deal to you, we better hand him some good money or good terms, and we know we got to get this guy because he's the only one that can deliver us that quality and that consistently and that delivery on time. So, but again, none of that happens until you have that reputation. So that's all you can do right now, is just focusing on building that reputation. So anyways, I am done. Me and my elephant eye are going to go rest, take some Benadryl and try to clear this thing up. I don't know what's going on. So thank you guys so much. If you found this useful, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks.